Welcome to No Tourists Allowed, a podcast where two travel industry executives with a combined 71 years on the inside of travel and technology give up their secrets to do the thing everyone wants to do. Travel better, pay less, and see more of the world. Here are your hosts, Mike Putman and James Ferrara.
Hello, everyone. I'm Mike Putman.
And I'm James Ferrara. Mike, I keep showing up for these podcasts. Where have you been?
Oh, please don't try to pin that on me, please. That would not be good. We both have had a really busy schedule. So sorry, guys, for not recording recently. It was not intentional. It's just a matter of circumstances where we've both been kind of going in opposite directions most of the time.
And sometimes together, but we've been on the road almost constantly.
Yeah.
But we have a few experiences to share with you as a result, some new things. And also things have been happening in the world that I think are really important to travel. And we have an opportunity to talk about that now, too. The season is back. Here we are. This is season number 4, Mike, for us. And, one thing I want to say to kick it off is every season we've given away a great trip. We've thanked our listeners by doing something. And we're going to do it this season, too. I have got a great idea for giving away a cruise this season. So we're going to tease it out over the next couple of episodes and give you guys a way to get your name in there as many times as you want for us to draw for a free cruise. How about that?
Yeah, that sounds like a great plan. And we've got some other things up our sleeves, too. So be sure to stick around this season as our podcast continues to grow and our subscribers continue to grow. And please share the news as well. We've got people all over the world tuning in, and want that list to continue to grow so we can share more travel experiences with you guys and travel tips. So please share it. And you can always go to notouristallowed.com and you can hear some of our past podcasts if you missed some. Sign up for our newsletter as well. And you can, again, share this with your friends.
Yeah. Everywhere I've been, Mike, recently, I swear people have come up to me and said that they listen to No Tourists Allowed and they enjoy it. And I've been in the UK. I was in London. I was in Ireland. We were down in Charleston together. We've been sort of all over. And we've just come back from a big cruise to the Bahamas and Cozumel in Mexico. And everywhere I've been, someone has come up to me and talked to me about No Tourists Allowed. So thank you. Thank you all for being with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mike, let's talk about this cruise because we were on it together. And it was for business. It was a full ship charter, which is quite rare. So we took the entire ship, a 4,000 passenger ship, filled it up for our business. And it's a big commercial cruise. We happen to be on the Norwegian Cruise Lines. And shout out to Norwegian for doing an amazing job. I mean, the onboard crew went above and beyond. Everyone was so friendly, so competent, the care, the attention. Didn't you think so, Mike?
Yeah, it was genuine too. It wasn't kind of, the fake it type, let's be happy, but the staff at NCL, they were just fantastic. It's as good of experience as I've had at any, upmarket resort or even upmarket cruise line that might cost 5 or 6 times as much.
So, Norwegian is what we call the contemporary market, which is, Norwegian, Royal Caribbean, Carnival, MSC, these big brands that, many, many ships. But Norwegian does a fantastic job. And another shout out to them for the food. There are like 20 restaurants on board, if not more. And the food, the variety and the quality of the food and the dining experiences, I find it so weird, kind of funny. You can go to a Japanese teppanyaki steakhouse, with the guys doing their knives and having fun. on a cruise ship out in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, and let's just try to for our listeners who's maybe never been on one of these contemporary cruise ships, let's try to list all the different dining category or not categories, but cuisines that were available. And there was a restaurant to cater to each one of these. And I'll start off with there are three main dining rooms, and these dining rooms have international cuisine. And there you would get a 5 or 6 course meal at dinner, and there's three different ones to choose from. And then those would have the typical steaks. They would have fish. They would have salad, soup, etc. Very nice, and I'm going to try to remember as many as I can. Right next to those is an upscale steakhouse, so a premium steakhouse, like a Ruth Chris, something like that. That wasn't the brand that was on the ship, but something like that.
Called Cagney's.
Cagney's, yeah. And then upstairs near the pool, they had an American diner, which served
That was
you
fun.
good old Americana food. And then they had a Ocean Blue restaurant, which served I would call it high end seafood.
I had a great meal there. Very pretty, really fine dining, ocean blue.
That was the only time you and I had a meal together. As a matter of
Yeah,
fact,
yeah.
was there. It was fantastic. And then we had a fusion sushi restaurant, which was exceptional. Exceptional. There was a brew house where they had I don't know, 20 beers on tap.
Barbecue. There was a barbecue place.
I never even went into that one.
Oh, it's great.
There was a barbecue restaurant, French restaurant, Japanese,
Italian.
yeah, Italian.
And of course, the big international buffet.
Yeah, yeah, and the buffet, and actually it was really cool. I don't know if you went down the left side, but at the end, I mean, this buffet is like, I don't even know how to put it in perspective, but it was huge. And down at the very end, they had Indian cuisine. So they had an entire buffet of just Indian cuisine with like, I don't know, 5 or 6 entrees that you could have.
And I'm told one of the reasons they do that is because quite a number of the chefs on board are from Indian descent, and I met several, I think you did too, several of the sort of executive chefs on board, the head chefs, and a couple of them were Indian too. So that Indian food was very good.
It was high quality and off of a buffet, which I don't normally like going to buffets either. So anyhow, and the purpose of telling you guys this, and then there was a casino. There were
The
I don't
Haven
know,
restaurant
the
also.
Heaven restaurant, which I never got to go to, and then there were about I would say 12 or 13 or 14 bars. I mean, it's people say I don't want to go on a cruise because I'm gonna feel like I'm trapped. When you go on a cruise, these new cruise ships, you get lost. I mean, you literally get lost because they're so big.
There's a theater for shows. There's a Latin music bar, right? I mean, it just goes on and on. A comedy club, absolutely right. There was the Cavern Club, reproduced from, what is that, Liverpool in the
Yeah.
UK, where the Beatles started, and they have a Beatles tribute band that looks and sounds like the Beatles in there every night. I mean, you could go on, there's also a go-kart racetrack on the top of this. It starts to sound like a joke,
Yeah.
but it's true. Plus, you're calling in ports in some great places, so you get to get off the ship and enjoy all that.
Not to mention a world class spa as well.
World-class spa and gym, which I saw at 7 a.m. in the morning every day. I just wanted
As you pass by to go to the restaurant.
to but here's the thing, Mike. So you have all of that, and it really is great. It is a tremendous value. I mean, I'm sorry, but you cannot reproduce everything that's included in a cruise like that on land for anywhere near that amount of money. So when you look at what it costs you, it's such a strong value, such a great experience. I think they say that the repeat percentage of customers who will come back and cruise again is like in the 80s and 90 percentile. It's huge because people are so satisfied. So you can't discount this as a kind of travel. This is an important part of the travel market. But here at No Tourists Allowed, we say we want to advise you to travel in a certain way, to have authentic travel. And this description of a contemporary cruise line seems to be at odds with that. So, but there are ways to travel and still get your sense of place and have a deeply satisfying and authentic time, even on something big and commercial like this. Don't you think, Mike?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, and for me, it was taking the time every day to speak to the waiters and not just order food from them, but, where are you from? What do you like doing? What are you going to do at the next port? And engage in a conversation because the people that are on these ships are all international. They come from, different countries and they all have backgrounds and cultures that we can learn from. So that's one way of experiencing. And another way is when you go off board into the destinations is to, be, don't be a tourist, walk around, have fun, but enjoy things that the locals enjoy doing.
Now, there are shore excursions that the ships offer, all cruise lines offer. Some of them I would recommend, some of them I would not. I mean, honestly, the last thing I want to do is get on a bus with 50 people, right? But they're not all like that. You can take small group excursions with just a little van with a handful of people. And some of these excursions go to places that would be very difficult for you to get to on your own. Others do things that are really, really touristy and you want to avoid. Usually, you don't want to get caught going to that factory or that, something that's clearly set up for tourists to sell you something. So, Mike and I tend to, when we're traveling, we tend to go on our own, right? We get off the ship, we jump in a taxi or hire a car and go off and do something on our own rather than a big group of 30 or 40 people.
But there's nothing wrong with that. If you haven't traveled much, it's a good way to get started too. But for those who have traveled a good bit and feel confident and comfortable doing so, that's the way I would travel.
Yeah. And even on board, you can make choices that take you out of your comfort zone, right? So you can choose foods you've never tried before. And if it's available, sometimes some of the cruise lines bring the food and the entertainment on board from the places they're visiting. So you can get a little feel of Mexico or Jamaica or Haiti or wherever because they are bringing that on board for you. You just have to make that choice. So if you try, you don't have to be a tourist and you can get the best of both worlds. You can get all this stuff that a excellent contemporary cruise line like Norwegian offers. And at the same time, you can get a real authentic travel experience, something that really satisfies.
And I remember as a child going on cruises in the early days of the modern cruise era. Then they had a lot of European chefs and trying things that I would have never tried at home, like escargot, as an example, right? I mean, you would never order, if you've never had escargot, I doubt very few people would order an appetizer of escargot because you don't know if you're going to like it or not. But on a cruise ship where all your food's included, you can do things like that. And now I really do like escargot, and if it's on the menu, I'm most likely going to order it. But it's an opportunity to try things and expand your horizons a bit.
Yeah. Oh, and here's the nice thing. Most of the ships offer a behind the scenes tour where you can actually get into the kitchens and down into the operational areas below decks on the ship and see. It's really amazing. The logistical operation for a big cruise ship is really, really impressive. And you can take those tours. They cost a little bit, but you can take them.
I have to tell my one wine story because of all the things that happened on this cruise. This was kind of the most wonderful experience, and it's a very small experience. But so I was having dinner one night in one of the main dining rooms and opened the menu, and I was having dinner by myself, and I just wanted one glass of wine. That was it. And so I look, and they have a Sauvignon Blanc, and it was $17 a glass, which is probably a fair but a little bit pricey for a glass of Sauvignon Blanc, but the bottle was $30. So when the waiter came back over, I said, I think you've got a mistake in their menu. This is 17 for a glass and 30 for a bottle because most of you guys know you can get like 4.5 glasses out of a bottle. And he said, no, that's accurate. So I thought, all right, I'm just going to pay the 30 if- and I'll just give the rest away. So they come by, wine steward brings the bottle, pours it. It's a very nice wine, by the way. I was really surprised at the quality, and he put a tag on it. And so as I was getting through with my meal, he handed me this little piece of paper and he said, this is your tag for your wine. I'm going to take whatever you don't drink. I'm going to take it. And then you can go to any restaurant on the ship, present that tag, and we'll go get the bottle for you and bring it to you. And I was just astounded by this. So the next night I go to dinner just to test them out. And I said, here's my tab. Can I get my bottle of wine? And they go, absolutely. And so they go 2 or 3 minutes later, they come back with the wine, same amount in it, pour one more glass. That's all I have and ship it back. So I was able, I could have, and I didn't, but I could have made that bottle of wine last, 4 meals. What a great idea, I thought. And something that I've been on 60 some odd cruises that I did not know existed. And I don't know if that's specific to that ship or to that line or if other cruise lines do it, but that's a nice way to experience some wine and get a really good value for it.
It is. Mike, what I've been hearing a lot lately, though, is that there are people who are now afraid to get on planes because there have been, the count is about 5 now, air travel accidents with fatalities over the last year after an extraordinary period of time. I think it's 15 or 16 years when the U.S. has not experienced commercial fatal accidents. We now seem to have had a slew of them, and it's got people concerned.
And rightly so. I think I think the 5 have occurred this year, as in 2025, not as in the last 12 months.
Right.
I think one of those was a private plane, and those private plane occurrences do happen, much more frequently than the commercial. But yeah, I'll tell you, I used to always, after 9/11, I'd get on a plane and for, 10 years, I'd think about where's the terrorist? What am I going to do if he jumps out? Tackle him and all this kind of stuff. And then after 10 years, I don't even think about it anymore. And I don't really think about, other than praying before each flight, I don't really think too much about the plane going down or something because we have had such a tremendous streak of no accidents. But all of these have seemed to come in the last, 60 days, 75 days. It really is curious. And I mean, I don't.
Yeah. But and this won't sound like much consolation, but the first thing we ought to be clear about is the causes of these accidents have been unrelated,
Random,
you
yeah.
know, and there have been one or two really one-off situations, like the one with the helicopter, tragic in Washington, D.C., but not likely to be repeated, right? It was a very specific problem and situation there. As you point, another one was a small medical evacuation plane. Another one was a private plane. In fact, several of these have been smaller planes. And there is something to that because the safety record and the risk factor for smaller planes is different than larger commercial planes for a number of reasons, including the fact that pilots for those planes are far less experienced and less regulated than commercials. But it's just important to say up top that air travel is the safest form of travel in the world by far.
The chasm between air travel and any other mode of transportation is significant. It is clearly the safest.
So I did an interview for a news outlet on this, on airline safety, and I have a few stats that I want to share with you guys. On average, a person would have to travel by air every day for 103,239 years to experience a fatal accident, statistically. Chances are 1 in 13.7 million that you would be involved in a fatal air accident. And now it's almost twice as safe as it was a decade ago because our national safe transportation safety board system sort of learns as it goes and is constantly improved. You are far more likely to have an accident driving to the airport than you are traveling on the plane. And your chances of perishing in a shark attack are much greater than in a plane accident. I mean, just to put it in some perspective for everyone.
It is a safe way to go, and that doesn't relieve everyone's tensions, but having the facts should give you a bit of comfort, as you travel. And we don't want to see you not travel because of fear of safety. I think we've had some random occurrences that have just piled up, and I don't, uh, and since none of them are related or relative, um, you know, it's just been kind of a strange.
So we want you guys to have confidence, and don't fence yourself in or restrict your movement over a fear around this. There are other things that are restricting movement a little bit, Mike, and I thought maybe we could address that because it's been so much in the headlines lately. There are, things playing out on the world stage, kind of geopolitical things happening. In the US, this new administration has been threatening tariffs against certain countries and also tightening up on border control. And that doesn't just affect immigration, it affects things like travel visas, work visas, and so on. And there are people who are afraid of traveling because they have a status in the United States which may be legal, but they may have even an irrational fear that if they leave the country, they might have difficulty getting back in. And so all of those things, I mean, I feel all of those things are affecting travel. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, we're certainly in changing times. I would call them uncertain times. And when when consumers are uncertain, they tend to pull back on their disposable income spend. And, one of their largest disposable income spend is a holiday. So, um, I know the year started out great in January in terms of sales, but, we're seeing a little bit of pullback right now, and let's just hope the economy doesn't continue to soften. Um, for the sake of of our economy, but also for the travel industry.
Yeah, I mean, if these tariffs go into effect, they'll raise the cost of goods and services for U.S. citizens. So, if that car that you were thinking of buying is going to cost you $3,000 more because of parts coming from somewhere else or it being assembled in another country, then that may be $3,000 less than you have to spend on travel this year. I mean, that's certainly possible. It's a bit down the road, but it's possible. The flip side of that is if we enact these tariffs, it's possible that other countries will retaliate in ways that affect travel. And I've seen this before, right? So you get a country sort of upset with us, and all of a sudden they require a visa to visit their country now when they didn't before, or have a tax on arrivals that has to be paid. And it's a bit retaliatory against, whatever policies we're putting in place here. So, I look, anything that restricts the free movement of people is the enemy of travel, right? We don't want to add friction. We want to take it away. And some of the things that are going on right now, thankfully, they're strategies, they're negotiations, their threats, their short term perceptions, maybe, they aren't necessarily longer term realities yet.
Yet. Yeah. Yeah, let's hope not. Let's hope not, because I think we could put us in a bad position. But the good thing is when you do travel, though, the tariffs typically, when you're going to other countries, they're not they don't typically impact you, other than maybe a admission tax, or arrival tax is the right word, or a visa, unexpected visa. But those are generally not very large cost. So hopefully we can get past this, and hopefully we won't have any other curveballs coming from the administration. I mean, when I say curveballs, there's just lots of changes, right? You wake up every day, turn the news on, and you find out about something else has changed. So we just don't know what's coming down the pike. But hopefully nothing that will affect travel any further. I mean, there's some people throwing around some ideas, but I don't put a lot of weight into those until we hear about them. So what you got? What's your next trip?
I have a trip coming up to Porto in Portugal later this year, and I'm very excited about that. And we have trips, let's see, to Lake Tahoe in Nevada. We have a trip coming up to Puerto Rico, and a trip on MSC Cruises, another big cruise line that has beautiful new ships, the new generation of ships at MSC, just design wise, Italian company, the largest shipping company in the world. And part of their business is a passenger cruise line, MSC, which has been very, very popular in Europe. It is the number one cruise line in Europe for many years, but is gaining popularity in the US with these very swanky, splashy looking new ships. So I've got that coming up too.
Yeah, I'm taking my daughters on an MSC in just a few weeks now. We're in one of my daughter's spring breaks, so I'm looking forward to that. And I've got Panama and Barcelona and Scotland, and the summer's mapping out pretty good already.
Yep. And I am working on a big South Africa trip, visiting Cape Town and doing a safari in South Africa. So we'll be talking more about that here as it comes together.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think we've got some guests lined up for our new
Yep.
season. I think you've got one coming up in a couple of weeks, which I'm not going to be here for, by the way. Got a guest that hopefully you can handle that one without me.
I'll do my best, Mike.
Yeah. But it's great to be back. It's great to get the podcast back into gear in our first season, and we look forward to many, many more podcasts this season, and look forward to supplying you guys with some interesting travel information. And actually, I had one other thing too I wanted to close out with that was interesting to me. So Frontier Airline, which is not, it's not known for its service. It's known for its low prices. But they do deliver, I would say, a reasonable product. It's not the best product in the world, but it's a low cost product, and it gets people from point A to point B. And especially if you're in their market, they have, if you're in the markets where they fly, you can get some just fantastic pricing. So, Frontier Airways Airlines has a program that is their premium frequent flyer program. And when you reach this program, which it takes 50,000 miles to do, or 50,000 points, I should say, then you earn a companion certificate, right? So when you reach, they call it platinum, by the way. You reach the platinum status, you get a companion ticket, and then that companion ticket allows you to take someone with you at no cost. I think all you have to pay is their taxes and maybe some airport taxes, but something very, very small, like $10 or $12 a ticket. And you get this companion pass where you can take, it has to be the same person, but every time you fly Frontier, you can take them with you, which is a heck of a deal. So what they're doing this year is they are running a fast track promotion between now and the end of April. And you can go to their website and sign up for it. And it's called Elite Status Fast Track Promotion. And what that does is it cuts the requirement for earning platinum status, which gives you the companion ticket, to just the companion pass, let me say, not just one ticket, but a pass. And it cuts that to just 20,000 elite status points. So you can fly. It's still going to take a good bit of flying on Frontier between now and then. But for some of you guys who go out there and try to run up miles, or maybe you're flying Frontier, already a good bit, this is something you could really push to earn, because that is certainly is doable in a couple of months' time. And the advantage of having a free companion pass would be great, because you get that for a year, for the rest of the year. So take advantage of that, guys, if you're in a Frontier market, or you're a mile runner, as they call them, and then you'll have somebody to travel with you at no cost for the rest of the year.
Excellent. Great tip. We're so happy to be back with you for this season. That's what we have for today. Hope you enjoyed it. Let's hear from you. Get on the website. Let us know if there's something you'd like us to talk about. And please sign up for that newsletter. And stay tuned. Come back with us next week, and we'll start to reveal the details on our free cruise giveaway for 2 for this season.
Thanks so much. Bye for now.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for being with us at No Tourists Allowed.